If you're technically skilled but still charging $50 an hour for AI automation work, you're leaving serious money on the table. And I get it. I was there too. A year ago, I was quoting a few $100s for projects that were worth tens of thousands of dollars to the business I was helping. And I didn't know any better. I thought if I just charged less, that more people would say yes. Turns out that's exactly backwards. I'm going to show you the exact 3-tier pricing strategy that took me from charging a few $100s for projects to $8,000 projects and $5,000 monthly retainers. I help builders and freelancers transition to AI consultants who close 4-figure projects and retainers. And pricing strategy is everything. Not your technical skills, not your portfolio, pricing. Today you'll learn the psychology behind anchor pricing, see my actual 3-tier breakdown, and walk through a real client example step by step. By the end, you'll know exactly why even your lowest tier should still make competitors sweat, and the counterintuitive reasons that most consultants price themselves into poverty. If you want to land your first or next AI client, you can take part in the 4-week challenge inside of my free school community of like-minded people, where you will find a free course that's honestly better than most paid courses out there, and you'll get direct one-on-one access to me for whatever questions that you might have. The link is down below. Now let's dive in. All right, so let's start with the anchor psychology and why your highest tier should honestly scare you a little bit. Picture this, you walk into a Mercedes dealership. Do they start by showing you the cheapest car on the lot? Hell no. They walk you straight to the loaded S-Class with every bell and whistle. Leather seats, massage function, the panoramic sunroof, and the premium sound system. You sit in it, you smell the leather, and you imagine yourself driving it. And then they walk you over to the C-Class. Suddenly, when they show you the reasonable option, it feels like a steal. You're not thinking about how much you're spending, you're thinking about how much you're saving compared to that S-Class. That's anchor psychology, and it's exactly what you need to be doing with your pricing. Here's what I mean. Your top tier isn't actually meant to sell. It's meant to make your middle tier look more reasonable. I learned this from Alex Hormozi, and it completely changed how I think about pricing. He talks about creating an extremely expensive option, sometimes 10x what you think they'll actually pay, not because you necessarily expect anyone to buy it, but because it reframes the way that the client sees everything else. I know that sounds insane, but stick with me here. Think about it like this. If I walk in and quote $8,000 for a project, the client's brain immediately starts comparing that to zero. They're thinking, do I want to spend $8,000 or do I want to spend nothing? And spending nothing always sounds pretty good. But if you walk in and show them the $50,000 option first, now their brain is comparing $8,000 to $50,000. Suddenly, $8,000 feels like the smart, conservative choice. You've completely changed the mental math that they're doing. Your structure becomes top tier is the anchor, the dream scenario with literally absolutely everything. Middle tier is your actual target, what you actually want them to buy. And the bottom tier is your floor, the minimum that you'll actually accept. And I know what you're thinking, Lindsay, that sounds insane. Nobody's gonna pay $50,000 for automation. Here's the thing, you're not trying to sell the $50,000 package. You're using it to make the $8,000 option feel like the smart, reasonable choice. If someone does say yes to the top tier, amazing, but that's not the goal. The goal is psychological positioning. But here's something that cuts into those margins before you even close a deal. The constant battle between building for clients, creating content to land the next one. You're either spending hours on your own marketing or your pipeline goes dry. And paying for Nano Banana, Midjourney, and Canva separately, that's eating into your profit margins every month. Here's how I solve that problem. Syntax AI. It's every content creation tool that I need all in one place. Video generation with HeyGen and Runway, image creation, design tools, one login, one subscription. I batch all of my marketing content on Sundays, thumbnails for YouTube, social posts, video clips, everything I need to stay visible while I'm doing paid client work the rest of the week. This Sunday, I created everything for the next 7 days, generated thumbnails in Syntax, designed Instagram posts, created short-form video clips with Kling, all without leaving the platform. From empty content calendar to fully scheduled in under an hour. That's 5 billable client hours that I got back. Link in the description if you want to stop choosing between client work and content creation. Now let's talk about pricing systems that actually scale your business. So how do you actually build out these 3 tiers? Let me break down exactly what goes into each one. Your top tier, the anchor, should include everything that you could possibly do for them. Think of it as the if money were no object package. This is where you include ongoing support, strategy calls, additional systems beyond their core problem, audits, optimization, direct access to you via Slack or phone, weekly check-ins, everything. You're not just solving their immediate problem, you're becoming their fractional AI department. This tier should feel comprehensive, almost to the point of being overwhelming. When they look at it, they should think, wow, that's a lot. And that's the point. You want them to feel the weight of it. Your middle tier, your actual target, is where you solve their core problem completely, but without all the bells and whistles. This is still a premium offer. You're still delivering real transformation, but you're removing things like the ongoing strategy calls, the Slack access, the additional systems that weren't part of their original pain point. They get the solution. They don't get the white glove ongoing relationship. Your bottom tier, your floor, is the minimum viable solution. This solves their problem, but in the most stripped down way possible. Maybe it's just one system instead of 3. Maybe it's email support instead of direct access. Maybe there's no optimization or iteration included. You build it, hand it over, and then they're on their own for improvements. Here's the key. Even your bottom tier should be profitable and valuable. This isn't desperation pricing. This is the minimum scope at which you can still deliver results and feel good about the work. Let me show you what this actually looks like in practice. I had a real estate agent client who was drowning in leads. Picture this. She's talking to anywhere between 20 and 100 people a day. She's a go-getter. She's out there networking, running ads, getting referrals, but she has no system to track who's who. Leads come in through WhatsApp, through her website, through Instagram DMs, through referrals, and they all just kind of exist in this chaos. Her office manager is sending the same basic qualifying questions over and over. Every single lead, the same questions. What's your budget? What are you looking for? What area? It's mind-numbing work, and it's eating up hours every single day. She mentioned that she wants to be more visible on social media as a lead gen channel, but she doesn't have time to post consistently because she's busy juggling all of these unqualified leads. The chaos of success without systems, that's what we're solving. And here's how I broke it down across the 3 tiers. Tier 1, full transformation, $20,000 plus $3,000 a month retainer. This is the works. A complete lead tracking system in Airtable that automatically logs every lead that comes in. What they're looking for, what area, what budget. The system automatically compares new leads against available properties and surfaces matches without her having to lift a finger. Plus a content automation system where all she has to do is drop a photo or a video into a Google Drive folder, and the system creates captions, adds hashtags, formats it for each platform, and then posts it automatically. Plus a WhatsApp agent that handles all of those initial pre-qualifying conversations. Budget, preferences, timeline, and only hands off to a human once the lead is actually qualified. Plus weekly one-on-one strategy calls with me to talk about what's working, what needs improvement, and what we should build next. Plus instant Slack support whenever she has questions. Plus a full audit of her existing sales process before we build anything. This tier isn't just automation, it's transformation. She goes from chaos to a fully systematized operation with me as her ongoing strategic partner. Tier 2, the core system, $8,000 plus $1,500 a month retainer. This is the core system without all the extras. She gets the lead tracking system and the WhatsApp agent, the 2 things that solve her biggest pain points. But no content automation, no weekly strategy calls, no Slack access, email support only with a 48-hour response time. She still gets the transformation of her lead management, she still gets her time back, but she's not getting the full white glove treatment and additional systems. And tier 3, the foundation, $5,000 plus a $1,000 a month retainer. Just the WhatsApp agent. It qualifies leads automatically and pushes them to her existing CRM. That's it. No fancy lead tracking system, content automation, no calls with me, basic email support for technical issues only. Same core problem solved at the most fundamental level. She stops wasting time on unqualified leads. But everything else, the organization, the content, the strategy, that she's handling on her own. But here's where most people mess this up completely. They think the bottom tier is meant to be a desperate grab for anyone that's willing to pay them. Wrong. Think of your pricing like the foundation of a house. You can change the paint, swap out fixtures, even knock down some walls, but you never, ever compromise the foundation, because then the whole thing collapses. The bottom tier is not desperation pricing. It's the minimum viable solution that still delivers real transformation. If the floor tier doesn't solve their problem, you shouldn't be offering it at all. You'll just end up with unhappy clients who didn't get results and won't refer anyone to you. Here's how I think about calculating my floor. I need to make a certain amount per month to hit my income goals. I know roughly how many clients that I can handle without getting burnt out. So I divide my income goal by my client capacity, and that gives me my minimum per client. Let's say that I want to make $15,000 a month, and I can comfortably handle 5 active clients. That means my floor is $3,000 minimum per client, and I won't go below that no matter what. If someone can't afford my floor, then they're not my client right now. Maybe they will be later, but right now we're not a fit. Even that $5,000 WhatsApp only tier saves my real estate agent 15 hours a week and automatically pre-qualifies every lead that comes through. She's not buying cheap automation. She's buying her time back and better lead quality. That's still a real result. That's still worth paying for. Now here's the psychology that makes the entire system work. It's called the Goldilocks effect, and it's why clients consistently choose the middle option. Remember those 3 bowls of porridge? One too hot, one too cold, one just right? Your pricing works the exact same way. The top tier feels too overwhelming, too hot. They look at the $10,000 package with all the bells and whistles, think, that's more than I need right now. It's aspirational, but it feels like a lot. The bottom tier feels too incomplete or cheap, so too cold. They look at the $5,000 package and think, but I kind of want the lead tracking system too. And what if I have questions? Email only sounds kind of frustrating, but that middle tier, just right. They get the core solution. They get real support. They don't feel like they're overpaying or being reckless. They feel smart. People avoid extremes. They don't want to feel cheap, but they also don't want to feel reckless about their money. They want to feel like they made the most sensible choice. So position that middle tier as the most popular or recommended option. You can literally label it that way on your proposal. Include about 80% of the value at roughly 40% of your top tier price. $8,000 feels totally reasonable compared to $20,000, but it still positions you as a premium consultant and not some $50 an hour Upwork freelancer racing to the bottom. Let me show you how this actually plays out in a real client conversation. When I presented these 3 options to the real estate agent, I started with the full transformation package. I walked her through everything it included: the lead tracking, the content automation, the WhatsApp agent, the weekly calls, the Slack access, the audit. I painted the picture of what her business would look like with all of that in place. Here's what would completely revolutionize your business. She got excited seeing everything that was possible. I could see her imagining what it would be like to have all of that up and running, but I could also see her calculating the investment. $20,000 up front plus $3,000 a month is a real commitment. Then I showed her the middle tier. Now, if you want the core system that handles your biggest pain points, the lead chaos and the qualifying conversations, here's what that looks like. Suddenly, $8,000 felt like the smart, practical choice. She got most of what excited her about the top tier, but at a price that felt reasonable. She wasn't sacrificing the transformation. She was just being sensible about the extras. And she never even looked twice at the bottom tier. I mentioned it briefly, and if budget is really tight, we could just start with the WhatsApp agent for $5,000. But she was already sold on the middle tier. It felt like a deal. That's the magic of this system. You're not convincing anyone of anything. You're just creating a context where the option that you want them to choose feels like the obvious choice. Here's what happens when you don't use this system. You probably price everything around what you think they can afford. You're guessing at numbers. You're looking at what other freelancers charge and trying to be somewhere in the middle of that range, which usually means you're competing on price instead of value. You're stuck at $50 an hour and wondering why you can't break through to those 4- and 5-figure projects. Meanwhile, the consultants who understand anchor pricing are closing the same type of work for 10x what you're charging. But when you anchor high and work down, you're not competing with other freelancers. You're competing with the cost of not solving the problem. The client isn't comparing you to some other person on Upwork. They're comparing the $8,000 investment to the $100,000 in lost revenue that they're hemorrhaging every year from their broken lead process. You now know how to use anchor pricing to command premium rates instead of competing on price like a commodity. You know how to structure the 3 tiers where even your floor is profitable and valuable. You know why clients consistently choose that middle option and how to use that in your favor. But presenting these tiers in a way that actually closes the client and doesn't overwhelm them, that's the next piece of the puzzle. You need to understand their problems deeply before you can even present pricing. Otherwise, even the best tier structure falls flat. If you want to land your first or next AI client, you can take part in the 4-week challenge inside of my free school community of like-minded people, where you'll find a free course that's honestly better than most paid courses out there, and you'll get direct one-on-one access to me for whatever questions you may have. The link is down below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.